Yeah, no, the last one I can totally see people raving enough about it that, like, if I hadn't been watching the show, I would have been like, oh, I maybe should check this out now.
Yeah.
And you have a year and a half to catch up, so.
Oh, dear God. It wasn't a year and a half. People were exaggerating with that. Like, last season started in April 24th. This season started in July. It was a 2-month break.
Yeah, that's not as bad.
It's not as bad as people were making it out to be. And, like, the show has been getting later and later every season.
And frankly, they can stay off air as long as they want. If what they turn in is quality. Like, I don't know. I haven't actually had that with the show in a very long time where I've been eagerly awaiting its return. I'm like, hey, take off the time you need.
Yeah.
It's not like there isn't other stuff I could be watching. Because
Which you don't.
Got all these movies.
Oh, yeah, movies. Okay, that's what you're talking about. Okay, so do you want to start with Dragonstone?
Yeah, sure. I guess I want to point out the reason why we're doing this is because I don't like this season and Joe does.
I like a lot, yeah.
And this is the first time we've really disagreed on Game of Thrones.
Interestingly enough.
Yeah. So are we just going to go episode by episode?
Sure. Do you have something pulled up, or do you want me to, like, lead it?
No, you can go on. I have points I want to bring up. I can integrate them in.
Okay, so first episode, do you remember how the season started with Arya slaughtering the Freys?
Yeah. Big fan because I liked getting to see the actor one more time. I forget what his name is, but it's Phil.
Whoever Walder Frey's name is.
Yeah, he plays the same character in everything. That's not true. In Broadchurch, you think he plays the same character, and then it just gets really sad.
And then we get the quality Ed Sheeran cameo.
Yeah, which ultimately was over. Like, people didn't need to talk about that as much as they did.
Oh, I mean, it definitely got overblown. I still don't like it.
I was worried that he was going to keep being in the show. That
they were going to meet up again, and Arya was going to be like, should I kill them or not?
Or she was going to travel with them.
Yeah.
I had that thought for a little bit.
But I mean, you've had that, and then you've also had, hey, guess who was in the last episode that no one talked about? The entire band of Mastodon was in that last episode. Then,
yeah, but weren't they all White Walkers?
Yeah, every time they've been in the show, they've been White Walkers.
So,
but I mean, it's like there's ways to do musical cameos and stuff. Whatever. There's nothing else interesting, is there? No, King of the North. Podrick. Bran.
Yeah, for those first two episodes, basically everything that was going on with Jon was like, I want to do this thing, and all the other Northerners were like, that's a bad idea. And he's like, I've seen a bunch of dead people. And then they do whatever, they're fine with whatever he does. So
Cersei and Jaime have a talk. Jaime's like, you're stupid.
Yeah.
Euron.
Euron is the greatest addition to this show ever.
He's actually really good. I didn't like him last season, but I love him now.
Yeah, well, he's a very nothing character last season, and you're like, why is this all of a sudden important? And then in this season, I'm like, he isn't actually important. He's just fun.
Yeah. And then we just get Daenerys coming home to Dragonstone.
Yeah,
and is it
so?
Oh, you go first.
So, how I like to describe this season to people when I'm talking about it is it's an awesome first scene and it's an awesome last scene. And everything else in between is like just filler. And I feel that way very strongly about this episode because
this episode I'll give you that.
Yeah, that ending, the wordless, is shot so well. That's some of the best cinematography the show has had.
I will also say that normally the Game of Thrones seasons go 1 through 8, stuff happens. Episode 9, big battle happens, and then 10 is recovery.
Yeah.
Last season we didn't get a recovery episode.
No, it was because 2 big things happened.
Yeah, 2 big things happened. I think this was more of the recovery episode because like you got Jamie and Cersei talking about Tommen offing himself.
I think there's an element of that, but I also think it falls into the tradition that we've gotten since season 2, which is welcome to the catch-up episode. Here's where everyone is.
Yeah.
And it ultimately is better. Like, I remember last season's catch-up episode was the only reason I enjoyed it was because I was getting Game of Thrones again.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, nothing that important happened till episode 2. This season, I think that is a little different. I do think there's some important stuff that happens.
And
but
also,
even the important stuff that I think does happen, I think is a little rushed. Like, I think that their discussion with Tommen should have been much more important. I just don't think Cersei was written well enough and dynamically enough for them to have had that conversation.
I feel like
We
they've
ultimately
had it
never
before
get
at this
it,
point
but-
too, like in the terms of the show. Like we just didn't see it.
Yeah, but also like Tommen's death is is one of the most important deaths in the series because
That's saying so much for such a dumb character.
I defend him. I think he's very well acted, and I really like his placement. I think he disappears in that season, and I think that's a mistake. But the reason why that's so important is because she can always shift off the blame of who killed whatever her daughter's name was,
Marcella.
and whoever killed Joffrey. Yeah, because it's always going to be someone else, and she may have done stuff to lead to those deaths, but she can always shove it onto someone else. She can't do that with Tommen. And I
Because that
think
was
that's
like directly her.
Yeah, and I think she begins that season. I think that's the season she begins it with by saying, "There's nothing worse than failing to protect the ones you love," and that really is her central motivation. So I think that death, because of what that means for her character, that is the most important death we've gotten in a while. Obviously, actually, no. I'll stick with that. That's the most important death of the last 2 seasons.
Okay. Also,
And I don't think they ever really explored that well.
Can we talk about how great of a set Dragonstone is?
Oh yes, it's fantastic because we used to only get that like one room. But
That's what I was about to say.
think-
I was like, I completely forgot Stannis used it because we just got that one like falling apart room.
Yeah,
But like, I
which
felt,
we get back in this, but everything else is really cool.
oh yeah, it feels like we've spent like seasons there at this point because they use it so much and it's just so like beautiful.
And also, I think the throne room in that is intentionally designed to be very opposite of the throne room, the normal throne room, which I like.
Okay, so that's Stormborn. It's a catch up episode. I'm not going to defend it.
Yeah.
Next is Stormborn. Oh wait, did I say that already?
Yeah, one is the second one's Stormborn. I
Yeah.
forget what the first one's called.
First one is Dragonstone.
Dragonstone. Yeah.
This, it's just, okay, Daenerys is like, okay, we're here. Let's go slaughter King's Landing.
And is this where she has the great conversation with Varys?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
I
he's
like
like-
that conversation a lot.
because he's like, you serve the Mad King and Robert. I fight for the realm.
Well, and he is my favorite character.
That's his like last big thing this season.
Yeah,
isn't it?
I mean, but it's more than anything he got in last season, so
Yeah.
I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
He's a character. I actually think they've done him very well. Unlike another character we'll get to, they don't have a purpose for him right now besides that scene, so they put him in the background.
Yes.
He's in it a little bit. He's in it as much as he needs to. They are not afraid of not having him present, though. And that's what this show's always been good about. And so even though just from a biased perspective of I really like his worldview and I'd like to see more of it, I think that being his only scene is more than fine.
Oh yeah. Then Melisandre comes in, who I think is a pretty pointless character at this point.
Yeah, but they write her out.
Yeah.
And I don't think they needed her at that point to come in.
No, they didn't. I guess
I think
they
they-
kind of needed something after. No, she could have just been exiled, and that was the last we've seen of her. I would have been fine with that.
Yeah, I think the thing is they want us to remember these characters exist, but we don't need to. Like we're fine. We're fine forgetting about characters for 4 seasons. Hashtag Gendry. So
I never forgot.
I know you never forgot, and I didn't forget because you won't keep telling me about him.
Same with the Hound.
But so while I think that scene isn't terrible, and I do like the idea that there is a connection to the Lord of Light. I feel like it illustrates one of the problems with this season, that they just have pointless scenes.
With the lords and everything, with all the old gods and the new, I've never I always thought it was just hokey medieval religions until like the Lord of Light came through. So I was like, wait, so there's actual gods in this. Who's real and who's not? That was always confusing for me.
Yeah, and like up until recently, I could say that's just the Lord of Light because he's the only person we see like
do things,
actual stuff from. But then we get the Three-Eyed Raven, and that there's a connection to the old gods with that. So like, how much of that's true? And I think ultimately it's like all these religions are just kind of based off of truths, but not as they understand them. It's interesting because the only religion we haven't seen any proof from is the Seven.
Yeah.
And we probably won't because they done blown up. So
yeah. And then Grey Worm and Missandei make some lovey-dovey.
Good scene.
Yeah.
Good scene.
It's really the only one like that we get this season until the end.
Yeah, and it shows how the show's matured and how it depicts nudity and sexuality. And overall, I liked where those characters are going, and I like that Grey Worm didn't die right after he had sex.
Yeah,
so
I kind of thought they would. Okay, then we go to King's Landing. That's when they start talking about the dragons, and they're like, "We have a ballista."
Oh yeah.
I'm so glad that wasn't actually. That doesn't get used till later, but I'm so glad that wasn't like, yes, we have our dragon weapon. Because I'm like, that's so dumb.
Yeah, this goes back to they want to put Cersei in, but I don't feel like they have significant stuff for her to do, and so they just throw stuff like this in.
Well,
it shouldn't be a big revelation that you guys have a giant crossbow. That shouldn't be like a big thing at this point in your history.
I'm glad it's
and
not.
Also, as you pointed out when we were watching it, like, sure, that can smash through a skull, but there's like a bunch of stuff in between.
a thick hide. And then on to Winterfell. Tyrion sends a letter to Jon, and they're like, we should go, but they don't want me to.
Yeah, exact same scene from last episode. Just shift around the
dialogue. They do it again. And then we get good old Littlefinger confessing his love for your lady mother, Sansa, and you, Sansa.
Yeah, and is this where he does it in the vaults?
Yes, again,
and then
again.
Well, no, he does it to Jon this time, right?
Yes, he does. He does do it to Jon this time. He's not doing it to Sansa again. I forgot.
Yeah, this is the only time I like Littlefinger in the whole season because it's he has become the most pointless character in this show.
Sadly, yes, because I was like, oh, he's the villain, like he's the mastermind and everything, and then he's just Sansa.
So seeing someone call him out, like I enjoy that, like, and especially since it's Jon, who's like the most no nonsense character.
Oh yeah,
Littlefinger. When we finally get to his motivation, it makes sense. But once you get to the motivation of a character like that, and they don't feel the need to progress him. And so he becomes a meme. He becomes the, I loved your lady mother, Sansa.
And I love you.
Yeah.
I love quoting that every episode.
Yeah.
He's a fun voice to do. I
love the jokes we were able to make about it. Like, oh, I'm just working my way down the Stark list. Sup, Bran, I loved your mother. Can I love you? But like, ultimately, and that's my least favorite part of the season, is he illustrates perfectly that is a character who they just should have written out. He should have gone to the Vale, or they should have killed him earlier.
Yeah.
Or he just isn't present. And they do bring him in when they need him, but they just keep bringing him in, and it's the same derivative stuff. And because of that, it ultimately dumbs down some characters. But we'll get into that later as we go along in the season.
We get an Arya scene. She finds Nymeria, her direwolf that she left behind all those seasons ago.
Good. Oh, and we get Hot Pie.
Yeah, Hot Pie.
Get both good reunions for those characters.
I'm glad Hot Pie's off doing well.
Yeah, he can have the happy life.
Yeah.
Sam's gonna die. He left his sanctuary of happiness, but
yeah, that's true.
We haven't been talking about Sam.
The next scene's about Sam, because Sam didn't do anything in the first episode besides clean poop.
Did he? Sam's stuff all gets mixed up in my head.
He cleans poop in the first episode.
Actually, good bit of comic relief there.
I guess it went on too long. Like I don't need to see him clean 5 toilet bowls. 2 is enough.
Yeah, so I like the Nymeria scene.
Yeah, and then we get Sam. Jorah's at the
Citadel.
Citadel
in Old Town.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Oh yeah, it is the Citadel. Jorah's at the Citadel too because he has grayscale and he's gonna die. But then Sam's like, I got a solution, and he heals him.
That's a solution I could come up with, and I don't like that.
What?
Like I'm not talking about me as a logical viewer. Yeah, I'm talking about me as like my kid just got grayscale and I'm a poor farmer. First thing I'm gonna do is like give him a bunch of bourbon and then numb the pain.
Well,
or to numb the pain and then
you have to do
off.
it a certain. It is a dumb solution, but you have to do it a certain way and apply a certain kind of ointment.
Yeah, I don't think they expressed that well.
Yeah, they didn't.
Especially since they built that up so much.
Yeah, they kind of did.
It felt like, okay, we need to get Jorah back in the game. So boom, he's been Tarlied.
And then the final scene is we got Yara and Theon on their boat on the Narrow Sea, doing some transporting. Then Euron's fleet attacks.
Yeah,
I like this scene a lot.
I was very torn on it when I first saw it because I wasn't crazy with what they were doing with Theon. But I did ultimately enjoy it. It's a very well composed scene, especially for a season where we don't get many combat scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
And Euron's great. Like,
oh, he's crazy. He comes down just like screaming and just crushes a dude with his like gangplank. Oh.
And like fires coming out of like the black mist. It's
yeah,
great.
he's just like, I am demon incarnate. Fight me. He kidnaps Yara and all the Sand Snakes die, or 2 of the Sand Snakes die, and the other 2 get captured.
Yeah, which felt fan servicey in a negative way. It felt like, oh, people don't like these characters, so I'm just gonna kill them off. Yeah,
pretty sure they're kind of universally loved.
Most people I've seen online and talked to in real life think they're pretty terrible characters.
You and I talked to very different people.
Yeah, maybe. Like the fandom's big, but
yeah.
I don't know. I think that's another scenario of them just not knowing what to do with characters, and instead of thinking of a creative way to either write them out or add them in, they just kill them off.
Yeah, and then. Yeah, Euron captures Yara and Theon runs away because people are like, why didn't you try to save her, Theon? Because he would have died. Yeah,
no, it makes sense. And like right when he charges for her, he's going to cut her throat.
Yeah. Like there's no point in him trying.
The only reason he keeps her alive, I think, is to have that leverage.
Yeah. He has it over Theon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Theon, another good example of a character they just kind of write out and let him sit on the bench till we need him again. So I'll give the show props for when it does that. So,
I mean, as someone who really thought Theon was extremely pointless for the first couple seasons, I like what they've done with him. Like, I've never hated a character so much. Like, not even hate the character because they do bad things, just hate the idea of a character. And then like start liking the character as much as I like Theon.
People forget about Theon and Jaime. They did terrible things.
Oh yeah, they did like horrible things. They were awful people. But like everything's maybe not with Jaime right now, but everything's kind of forgiven because it's like, oh, he got his penis cut off, he got his hand cut off.
Yeah, and I think ultimately that's what I like about this is it shows that just because he's gone through a lot of stuff doesn't mean that means his character has grown. Because there is good and bad is a very relative sense. I would say that there really aren't good characters on this show except for Hot Pie or like Sam, like side characters. Good. Yeah, like side characters who are their function in the story just doesn't allow them to do bad things.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So it's one of those things. One of the best things about the show is that it challenges our conception of what's good and bad. Point in case, Arya is like, she's a bad person. It just happens to be that we like her because we've seen her, we've grown up with her.
She's also killing bad people too. So far.
Yeah, like no one's gonna cry tears over Frey, or any of his sons, but at the same time, she did that very sadistically.
Mm-hmm. It was. I mean, it wasn't gore porn, but it was porn to her, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Next is Queen's Justice. Let's see. Euron gets back to King's Landing, and Cersei poisons the sand snakes.
That scene goes on way too long.
Yeah.
I like it. I think it has a great final shot. Cersei needs to shut up.
Yeah, she talks for way too long. She's like, "Yeah, I'm evil." Which
I don't feel that's in her character either. Like, she does speech sometimes. Like, she does speechify sometimes, but a lot of times she's just silent force.
Mm-hmm. Jaime and Cersei bang, and then Cersei meets with Mycroft.
Yeah, good to see him back.
Yeah, she's just like, give us money and we'll pay you back. And he's like, okay. Oh boy. Bran comes back to Winterfell.
I think we can agree on this. Bran is a very weak part of this show.
Bran has been a weak part of this show ever since he fell out of the castle window. Like, it's just been, I don't have legs, pity me. Oh, I'm in snow now, pity me. Everybody else has to fight for me, and I'm kind of pointless.
Yeah, but I think he's always been surrounded by interesting stuff. Or he has been paralleled with...
They literally wrote him out of the show for a season because nothing was happening.
They did the same thing with Littlefinger.
Littlefinger had appearances. Littlefinger wasn't in a show for an entire season.
Littlefinger left King's Landing, and then he didn't come back till the Purple Wedding. Like, they do this to characters, and it's a little bit more prevalent.
Not major characters.
Sometimes they do. Like, sometimes major characters stop mattering.
I would say Littlefinger's a side character, though, honestly.
Yeah, I'd argue Brom's a side character then. I think Littlefinger, up until now, has been just as important.
Okay. I mean, he is. He's a Stark, so, kind of a main character. Whatever.
Yeah, but I also think, like, he's been paralleled with his younger brother, who I can't even remember
Rickon.
the name of. Rickon.
Rickon was gone for a while, too.
Yeah, I think every time he was with Rickon, I was like, oh, okay, so he is actually important because this one's not important. So, and never will be.
Yeah. And then, Bran's just been walking.
He's not a good actor, and he's constantly talking about how it's like, oh, I'm the three-eyed raven, and it's very confusing. I can't explain it. Really? Because you explain it to Sam in one sentence in the final episode.
Yeah. I can see everything. What does that mean? It's complicated. No, it's not. There was another three-eyed raven. Now he's dead.
Credit.
Like, Sansa's pretty smart.
Ugh. Yeah, eventually, I guess we'll just talk about characters as a whole.
Yeah.
I'm a Sansa fan.
I went back and forth on her this season.
As you should. She wasn't written well. But,
no, she wasn't. Then we're back in the Citadel. Jorah's healed, and Jorah leaves, and Sam is like, "Okay, now I'm going to keep reading books."
More Hogwarts shenanigans.
Yeah, that's what it really is. Just Hogwarts.
Yeah.
John gets the Dragonstone. I like all this. I like all this stuff with Dragonstone.
Yes. I'd say that this is one of the 3 good episodes of the season. And mainly because of this stuff.
I just like seeing all these characters that we followed for so long that have been on their own parts of the world, or like they're meeting up and they finally mattered together.
Yeah, and even just small interactions I really like. Like I like Brahm and Podrick going out for a drink in the last episode because, why not? But also, some people might forget that Tyrion and Jon had a really good relationship in the first season.
Oh, yeah. They're like, we're both outcasts.
And to see that built upon again, like, that is the benefit of having such a wide cast and a wide mythos, is that you can always have consistently good relationships. Mm-hmm.
So then next we get a battle scene real quick of the Unsullied taking Casterly Rock, which is beautifully shot.
Mm-hmm. Very, very. Both of the battles we get in this are very creative and budgetary constraints.
Oh yeah,
and also this one's heartbreaking. Like,
oh, that's the next one. These are 2 separate things.
Oh no! I just that the plan to take the rock, because it was so well thought out.
Oh yeah, it just doesn't work.
Completely failed like that, and to see Grey Worm's face at the end there, like, because he is a man who's finally fighting, like he's fighting for something more personal than just his belief in Daenerys at that point, and to see him like. Kind of not him fail, but to see his position no longer matter is heartbreaking. Like, especially after what we got with him and Missy in the last episode.
Yeah, so. all the Unsullied ships just go up in flames, and then since there's no one protecting the South, Lannisters take Highgarden.
Yeah, brilliant move.
And then Lady
Olenna.
Olenna, yeah. What's the family name? Tyrell.
Tyrell.
I was thinking Tarly for some reason. There's so many T's.
Well, the Tarleys do help take.
True.
Do help take it.
This is true. And then Olenna's like, yeah, I killed your kids, but I'm already poisoned, so.
That's one of my favorite scenes, death scenes in Game of Thrones. It's still tied with the Golden Crown.
It's just so funny because those scenes are so different.
Yeah, they function on completely different levels, but I think everyone low-key loved Olenna because she is a person who was always 2 steps ahead of people, and then just to see her turn completely nihilistic in these like the 2 scenes we get from her in this show, in this season, I loved it. I love seeing a woman like her with her brilliance with nothing to fight for any longer.
Mm-hmm. And that's it for that episode. That's an overall good one, I think.
Yeah, like I said, that is one of the good episodes of this season, and I was pretty dissatisfied with 1 and 2. I was a little mixed on them, and ultimately I don't hate them or anything. But 3 really solidified the excitement I had for the rest of the season.
Okay, next is Spoils of War. Back in Winterfell, Littlefinger confesses his love to Bran.
Creative scene. I think the kid who plays Bran doesn't play it well at all.
Because the dude's just like, oh, I don't have to act anymore. Nice.
And I also feel like Aidan Gillen's kind of given up. He's like, oh, I'm just doing the same scene again. Yeah. Okay, I'll wait for the next. What's that young adult thing he's in? Maze Runner.
Yeah.
I'll wait for the next Maze
Runner movie. Pretty sure those got canceled. I'm almost positive, but
I'll wait for Dark Knight Rises too.
He isn't that.
Yeah, he is.
Oh my god, I forgot. Okay, point. No, not really point. He gets the knife. Bran does.
Yeah, he gets the knife. Bran like I said, that scene should work. It really should. It's just the actors, both of them, don't really care.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least
Arya
appear
gets back to
to.
Winterfell.
Yeah, good stuff. I like those two doofus guards.
Oh yeah, that's pretty good.
Probably my favorite meme from this season is HBO's cybersecurity, and it's a picture of them.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. It wasn't even HBO that lost the episodes all the time, though.
Yeah, it was their distributors, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. Arya and Sansa reunite, and they're happy together.
Yeah, there's a little bit of natural tension, but ultimately, I think it works well, and I think Arya in this is also where we get Brienne and her fight. I think also works.
Yeah, it
really
is.
Well.
She goes meets up with Bran, and he gives her the dagger because he's like, I don't need it. I don't got legs.
Yeah, and I want to talk about this. People online, some of the people I've been talking to, seem to think that Sansa in this episode, she's jealous of Arya, and you can see that in some of her scenes. I never read that as jealousy. I always read that as suspicion.
Yeah, I was like, what has she been up to?
Yeah, okay. I was wondering where you stood on that.
No, it was just, okay, somehow you survived. How and what have you been up to for however many years it's been?
Yeah, it's obviously one of the more subjective points of the show, but because you're just reading facial expressions and body language.
Mm-hmm. And then no mention of... Oh, they do mention Rickon. Oh, no, they don't mention Rickon. You just read her face. Okay.
Yeah, because they, like us, have forgotten Rickon existed.
Yeah, even their brother. Gets the dagger, and then Brienne and Arya have their little duel.
Pretty good.
I think it's really good. Like, Brienne's a trained warrior, and now Arya can go, like, toe-to-toe with her.
Yeah, and different fighting styles, and so it's fun to see that.
Because Arya's all about speed and stuff.
You know what it reminded me of? It reminds me of Peter Pan and Captain Hook. I always find that dynamic interesting because it's a knife versus a sword.
That's true.
So whenever I see combat like that, I think of Peter Pan versus Captain Hook.
One of the many great battles of childhood. Back to King's Landing. Cersei pays back Mycroft. That's about it.
Nothing important.
Nothing important, really. Dragonstone. Oh,
this is more just petty squabbling, right? This isn't when we get the cave scenes.
no, it isn't. It's Daenerys freaking out at Tyrion because his plan didn't work.
Yeah, all this stuff
And then
is natural.
then he tells her to have like a level head and stuff.
Yeah, all this stuff is like natural, and it's conversations that need to be had. But I feel like in a season that I don't think really has that much to add, this stuff kind of sticks out more and more because every season has conversations like this, and they need them. These are the foundations of the show.
Yeah, people forget. People didn't get excited for Game of Thrones action until very recently.
Yeah, but I feel like even because I've never seen it as an action show.
It's always been a drama
show. But even this season, I think that those segments stand out more, and they kind of mess up the pace a little bit more because we're not getting our interest fulfilled from other means.
Jon confronts Theon again.
Yeah. That's one of those things that only makes sense to be in the show, but there's nothing actually they do with it that works.
I mean, Jon has the right to be pissed off, but...
Oh, yeah, like, it makes total sense. It's just the real scene between them will come later.
Oh, yeah. Where are we now? The Reach. Oh, this is the end of the episode, kind of. We're in the Reach, and Jaime's talking to Bronn.
Yeah, great stuff.
Oh yeah, Braun's a joy to be on screen with, like no matter what. He that actor is like great, and just his ability to light up a screen with just his
so
personality.
much fun.
And then we hear the whoops.
Yeah, which I 100%. When we were watching this episode, we had some disagreements over who that was, but I'm like, yo, that's the Dothraki. We're gonna get some good fights here.
Oh, I was ready for it. I just wasn't expecting it because, like, we had just had a scene of Tyrion, like, begging Daenerys to calm down.
Yeah, it's not very practical. Though, or not practical. It's not very well set up. But I think that it's still the way it uses us to surprise the audience is how we should feel. So I'm not bothered by that.
Oh yeah, it's a great fight scene. And then, like, they all line up, and you're like, oh, the Dothraki, it's gonna actually be a good fight. No, dragons are there too.
Yeah, but we do get enough stuff with the Dothraki. Though.
Oh no,
like,
no,
that's
it's
some
good
action.
the fights, but like then they get up in their little line formation.
Yeah, and
And dragons comes and lights it up.
yeah. Overall, this is less of a battle and more of a survival scene.
It's a slaughter, is what it is.
Between Jaime, who at this point I was pretty sure was going to survive, and then Brom, who, man, I was so worried. It's very rare that this show can get me worried about character anymore.
I expected Bronn just to run away.
Well, there's that part, it makes total sense, where his bag of gold drops, and if he goes after it, he dies. And that would make a lot of sense for
Bronn's
his character to go out
like,
that
my
way.
money.
And I'm so glad that didn't, because it kind of put into perspective that this is not a character who's just about money. He's about survival, too. You can't spend money if you're dead.
That is very true. He only does this thing. He only does things because he realizes he can get out of them, for the most part.
Yeah, and or that's what he's best at. I was just going to say, could you imagine Brom as anything but a mercenary?
Like, as the same character?
Yeah, he would just be such a boring farmer.
Oh, yeah. He'd just complain all the day how he doesn't have enough money.
Probably hang himself.
Yeah, probably.
Anyway.
Then Bronn fires up the ballista. It doesn't do much.
Yeah, it shows a significant weakness that I do think will be exploited later on. Obviously, the good guys will need to kill a dragon eventually.
Mm-hmm.
But I also like that they show it's not a MacGuffin. This is a guaranteed kill.
This is also a ballista. I'm glad they show it's not a special thing. It is just straight up a ballista that takes forever to fire, takes forever to aim.
Yeah, it's actually a little
accurate.
unbelievable that one man can do it by himself. That's a little bit of a stretch. I buy it because it's Brom.
Yeah,
but,
the dragon gets hit with one of the ballista bolts, but it just gets downed a little bit. It doesn't really get hurt. It's a flesh wound, more or less.
Yeah, it's enough to piss him off.
Yeah. And so they get off. Daenerys hops off the dragon and is consoling it, I guess.
Yeah, or more or less just seeing if the wounds work.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the ballista's also destroyed.
Yeah, it got blown
which
up.
is an important point.
And then Jaime just charges at Daenerys. He's like, I'm going to kill her. I'm going to end the war now.
Which makes sense as a character move.
Yeah, I guess. I feel Jaime's smarter than that, but...
Is he, though? Jaime is very intelligent in certain aspects, but he's not a crafty character.
That's true. And then the dragon fires at Jaime, but Bronn, or not Bronn, people thought it was Dickon for some reason.
I thought that was stupid, but...
What, that people thought it was Dickon?
Yeah, I also saw people who's like, he's dead for sure, and I'm like, why wouldn't they just have the dragon burn him?
Exactly. It's like, if he's just going to drown, why wouldn't they do it the satisfying way?
But yeah, so Brom kicks him in the river, and
that's this episode. I enjoyed 80% of this episode.
Yeah, like I said, there are 3 good episodes in the season. This is the second of those good episodes.
Next is Eastwatch. I remember this one because I thought we were going to get something that we didn't this episode from the title. But Bronn and Jaime get out of the water. There's that.
They have a good little conversation.
And then Daenerys roasts the 2 Tarlus alive.
Which I have to say, I do really like Dickon. They made Dickon a likable character, which I appreciate.
Oh yeah.
The dad is still a jerk, but what you gonna do?
I guess this was also another thing where I'm kinda on Daenerys' side on it.
Really interesting. Okay.
I don't know. It's half and half. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of impulsive, but at the same time, you got to show that you have power. I guess I don't know. It's a very Cersei move.
I agree that it is necessary. That I like her statement that if like imprisonment becomes an option, everyone's gonna choose it.
Yeah.
I think where the line needed to be drawn is it didn't need to be that public.
Yeah.
And it definitely and it's hard to say because I'm coming at this from a 21st century perspective. They're in a medieval world. I'm like, well, there's more there's better ways to execute someone than burning him alive. But then again, this isn't a world of humane executions.
Now we go to Winterfell. Bran sees the army of the dead again for who knows how many times at this point in this show. They're getting here slow, but they're getting here.
Yeah, all the Winterfell stuff from here to the last episode is bad. It's either Bronn who can't act, or it is the stuff between Arya and Sansa, which just dumbs down those characters, and it is all for a twist that is only satisfying in the fact that they aren't doing the stupid move. It's not satisfying because it's clever. It's not satisfying because it's that surprising. It's satisfying because
we'll get there.
They're like, oh, that stupid stuff you're doing? You're not doing that anymore.
We'll get there.
You're right, we'll get there.
Speaking of that, Arya's just stalking Peter Baelish, and he's just like, Lady Sansa sends her regards. Oh, now we're back at the Citadel, and whatchamacallit, Sam is just like, hey, there's dead people coming, and the Maester's like, nah.
Yeah, more... This might get paid off in the next season.
Probably. I mean,
and
it's
I'm
the
fine
final
with
season.
that
It's
to a
definitely
certain
going to get
extent.
paid off.
But I also think you need to have a certain amount of closure in this season, and I feel like the Citadel never gets an appropriate amount of closure.
I didn't like the Citadel to begin with, and Sam was going to become a Maester or whatever, because I'm like, he's not going to learn, enough in however long they're going to keep him there. Like, he's not going to gain the years of knowledge or whatever.
Yeah, and what's the point in bringing someone right there if you're going to take them away?
Yeah, exactly. It was for Jorah or whatever, maybe. I don't know if they planned it that far in advance, but...
Well, and there's you find out that Dragonstone is in there, but that is all contrivances. That's all... We need to plug A into B so we get C. That's not natural storytelling.
Then we also get a little stuff with Gilly. She's reading about Rhaegar.
Is that where we find out about the secret marriage?
It's hinting at it.
Okay.
It's just more the R+L. And then Gilly and Sam leave. Back to Dragonstone. Jon pets a dragon, which I thought was pretty stupid.
Hate this scene with a burning passion.
I get why they're doing it. It's because Jon's truly a Targaryen. Jon is a very rational man. He would not get anywhere near that dragon.
Yeah, it's completely out of character. It's very fan servicey. I don't understand why Cersei would land the dragon next to him and then wouldn't interact. Yeah, Daenerys, and wouldn't interact with them. And the way the scene's shot, you don't really know if she's on the back of him either. And then they don't really reveal that. They just kind of show her. I think it's poorly executed in almost every sense of the word.
Mm-hmm. Jorah comes back.
Yeah, and whatever. It's Jorah. It's a nice reunion.
Yeah, I'm glad Daenerys isn't just like, you betrayed me, because we've had that already. We don't need to repeat it.
Yeah.
Back to King's Landing. Cersei's pregnant.
And now that's an interesting enough little wrinkle in the fabric. I'll give them that. I don't exactly love the scene where they reveal that. I don't think it's all that interesting. And for such a big revelation, it definitely should be more interesting. In fact, I almost I almost want to say you could watch that scene and maybe not pick up on that.
I didn't.
If you weren't paying a ton of attention.
I didn't. Took me to the finale.
I barely did.
It took me to the finale where Tyrion says straight out.
Yeah, it's not interesting. I don't think they're writing Cersei well.
Well, and then Jaime tells him that Alina killed Joffrey.
Yeah, and that works. This goes back to like this stuff with Brum. Not bad stuff in concept, poorly executed.
Yeah. Jaime and Tyrion have a secret meeting.
Is that this episode?
That's this episode.
I thought that was next.
Nope, that's this episode.
I like these characters coming back together, but I will say this. I felt more of a connection to them when, in the last episode, when Tyrion's standing on top of a hill and looking at him from like a mile away than I did when they're actually in the same room.
I don't know. I've always liked Tyrion and Jaime's dynamic. Especially now, because it's like, since they're on opposite sides of a war, but they're like, you're still my brother, and I still, like, trust you. Because Jaime knows Tyrion's smart.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he has reason behind this.
And he understands his position in the world. Like, I think he understands why he needed to kill his father.
Mm-hmm.
Because of his relationship with his father, that's still a very deep scar.
Yep. And then Davos picks up on our man who's been rowing for 4 seasons.
Great.
Good old Gendry's
fantastic. Back. You know, I've been complaining a little bit about how this stuff is like shot, and I think this is one of the seasons that's weakest when it comes to the actual techniques. This is edited and shot wonderfully. I love how they build it up, and like it's coming, but it doesn't matter.
I just like that they're like, "Hey, we're gonna need you to fight," and he's like, I'm not good with a sword, but I got a hammer."
Yeah, first time in the show we see a war hammer, which makes sense because they're. Well, actually, no. Didn't
Rob one.
Use it?
Yeah, Robert had one.
Yeah, but we never see him use it.
Oh yeah, because he's a fat old man. But it has a stag in it. And has the Baratheon thing on it. It's cool. You got all these families coming together now after so long of being on the other sides.
Yeah, and he and Jon have a connection because they were supposedly bastards.
That's together. Later, but I like the two Lannister guards that like confront them on the bay.
Yeah, and I like seeing Davos work around with them.
Oh, Davos is like a snake charmer with that tongue of his.
Yeah, it's great. I would actually be fine seeing just. Not a show of Davos, but like just an episode, like a throwback episode to like back when he was like being a little sneaky smuggler.
Mm-hmm. He's just charming everyone with that tongue, and then Gendry smashes in their heads.
Yeah, which is great.
Oh yeah, that was good. Cersei confronts Jaime, which is okay. It's just more.
No, it isn't.
I think it's okay.
I think that Cersei is an irrational character in some regards, but it's always been forgivable because she's been being irrational about her children, so it understands. Here she's just being irrational.
Her child is the kingdom. She's getting what she wanted.
Yeah, but the whole idea of
she
like
doesn't want to lose it. She has literally wanted to be a dude her entire life because
that's a bit of an overstatement.
She's wanted power her entire life.
She has wanted to protect her family. She had that taken away from her, and so now she is motivated on. She's thinking of herself for the first time not saying she never thought of herself, but this is the first time where herself plays into her motivation. But to be like, you betrayed me, you conspired with my brother. No. He got tricked into meeting him. I think you're like that is when a character goes from being irrational to not functioning well in a story.
He did get tricked, but Jaime was not going to tell Cersei that.
Well, also she never gives him time to tell her.
Yeah.
The way she treats it isn't that she should treat him fairly because it's Cersei. I'm not expecting that. But she doesn't treat him like she should because of their relationship. And that doesn't mean he gets a pass, but it does mean that it just does, for me at least, it didn't work. She should have been more strategic with it.
I think it's just more of Jamie's still like loyal to her for whatever reason. It's fine in my eyes. It's the same stuff with Cersei we've gotten all season. I'm not expecting it to jump in quality. And then we get the last thing. Jon and Davos and Gendry get to Eastwatch. They meet up with Tormund and the Brotherhood and the Hound, and then they're off to Eastwatch, and it kind of just ends on them.
It's cool setup, but that's all it is.
It wasn't one of my favorite episodes. This one, next episode, Beyond the Wall. Arya confronts Sansa about Littlefinger stuff. It's boring. I don't care.
And poorly written. I think they're writing stuff that they think sounds cool, but really isn't, because these characters are being dumb while they're saying
Sansa's just like allowing herself to get manipulated by Littlefinger when she knows she shouldn't trust him at this point.
Yeah, and Arya is being irrational and psychotic, which kind of makes sense, I guess, because she is psychotic, but you know.
She hasn't been like this season was all like creepy Arya, and I was like, I never thought of Arya as creepy before this season. I get that she can do things now that are creepy, but she wasn't, the audience didn't know what she was going to do. I feel like I had no idea what she was going to do these past couple episodes.
Well, and we didn't get creepy Arya with her and Hot Pie or with Ed Sheeran.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't make sense that once she gets there, she starts being psychotic, because she always seems like she's been repressing that. And she can let that loose, but she's going to repress that around the people she is going to protect. Just there's a lot of hypocrisy in what she's saying. And then in Sansa, it's stupidity, which frustrates me, because as a person who has had to, for the last couple of seasons, defend what the show is doing with Sansa, and then have them betray that trust a little bit, was really frustrating, because they throw her growth out the window for a dumb twist. And yes, that twist means that we won't get dumb Sansa anymore. That's a good
Hopefully.
thing. But that doesn't mean that it makes those dumb scenes worth it.
Yeah, and Sansa finds the faces, and Arya's just like, no, I'm mysterious. I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah, which, to be fair, I think her thing is more confusing than Bran's thing. So, like,
it is.
Fair enough.
It is. It definitely is. There is a right to like ask, hey, why do you have faces? It kind of take a while to explain for that one.
I will say the actual point out of the faces, it ruins a little bit of the intrigue for me. Like the idea of, is the face actually this physical thing? Or
Yeah,
is
it looks like a dumb like plastic mask that you'd find at Party City.
Like like it's a Mission Impossible thing. Like,
Yeah.
Just keep. That is something that, unless you dedicate like 4 chapters of a book to, it's not going to be good. You can't do that on TV. Just leave it a mystery. It's fantasy. We'll buy it.
Then back at Dragonstone, more of Tyrion being like, hey, don't be impulsive. You shouldn't burn people alive. Which, I mean, it's stuff that I guess needs to be said, but...
Yeah, but also, at a certain point, when we get so many of these scenes, you have to wonder, why did she make him Hand of the King if she's not ever going to listen to him?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or at least not even listen to her, but, like, intelligently debate with him. Because all she does in this season is basically, like, I am the rightful ruler. This is what I need to do. And, like... No, like, actually discuss it with people. And, like, you know what? It doesn't always have to be Tyrion. Like, I like getting those scenes with Tyrion because I like their dynamic. Discuss stuff with Varys. Discuss stuff with Missy. Discuss stuff with, well, you can't do that right away. But, you know, if he was in these scenes, discuss it with Grey Worm. Like, have these conversations. Which is another reason why, you know, getting rid of some of the characters we get rid of so quickly at the beginning of the season kind of goes back and hurts us, because there's less of there's less diverse voices in these scenes.
It still never made sense to me that she chose Tyrion to be her hand. This guy she'd be. I would expect Tyrion just being an advisor. I was expecting her always to make Missy her hand.
I think it makes sense. It's a smart move.
Oh, it definitely is.
Because like Tyrion does have the connection to Westeros that Missy doesn't, and Missy is also like. I say this in a way not to get down on Missy. I really like her. She's not as smart as Tyrion. Like,
this is true.
Tyrion's a genius. Missy is a person of average intelligence. That doesn't mean she's dumb. That means she's like as smart.
Oh, she has
I
common
am.
sense. Yeah.
So yeah, like she's a normal person.
I just feel.
I'm glad they didn't do that.
I'm glad they.
I like they're more like girlfriends.
I like that
hang out.
Tyrion is hand and all. But as we've established, Daenerys doesn't always make the best decisions, and it seems just kind of an overly smart decision for her to make for this person she barely knows. I'm just saying.
And this is a problem with the show in general. I think the decisions she makes are very inconsistent.
Yeah, that's what it is. Eastwatch, north of the wall.
The greatest thing in this show so far in all 7 seasons
is Tormund talking about making babies with Brienne.
Well, you can read it as he's talking about making babies with Bran. I read it as he's flirting with the Hound, and I ship them hard. I don't ship characters; I ship them.
I just love Tormund. Tormund's always great.
Yeah, no, that's great, and they messed it up, but they could have easily made it so I was worried about him in this episode. We'll get around to why I'm not worried about him, but they really do. Like, his presence is always missed.
Oh yeah, definitely. So everybody's just kind of walking around. They're in the snow. It's cold. Everybody's miserable, and we're just like catching up with everyone for the most part who have been separated. Like Gendry talks to the Brotherhood. It's nothing of note, really.
Besides Tormund stuff, I don't care about any. The Hound's always fun when he's interacting with people, but that's superfluous. Yeah, it's a lot of talking. Do we just want to jump to the polar bear?
I was just about to get there.
A polar bear walker attacks, and a bunch of not previously established expendables get killed.
No, one guy dies, one guy gets bit, and is just like, I thought he was gonna die, and he's just like, give me my last drink, but no, he just gets up.
Yeah, that's a character who I never had enough time to care about.
He was cool.
Yeah. Yeah, he was.
I love the main Brotherhood dude's flaming sword that we get to see.
They both have it, and I like it a lot.
Oh, it's so cool. I don't understand how it works, but it's amazing.
It's Lord of Light. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's why I don't need an explanation. At fire swords, I'm down.
The fight scenes in this are pretty good. Who kills the bear? Is that the Hound?
No, Jorah.
Jorah?
Stabs it with dragon glass. Which I feel like should have been your first move, Jon and Jorah.
But, not.
No, because, dragon glass has seemed to be an instant kill thing, not slow. Like, anything touched by this is going to, disintegrate.
Well, it raises into question a thing about size. Like, a bear is bigger than a human, but, so would it decompose at the same rate as... one of the walkers.
The crew finds a White Walker, and it's whites going around. They set a trap with a fire. Jon immediately kills the White Walker.
Yeah, and lazy riding ensues. So all the whites are the small ones, right?
The whites are the zombies.
Yeah. So all the whites disintegrate except conveniently the one we need.
Yeah.
I'm fine with the whites disintegrating when the walkers get killed. That's
a zombie horde thing, sense.
Yeah. But why is there just one?
Yeah. That's
when the lazy writing starts in this episode. It just gets worse from here. Actually, no, the lazy writing starts with all the Arya stuff, but
yeah. So, and then the white does a mating cry, I'm just gonna call it.
Yeah. He's like, "Yo, help me, 911."
911, and every white in the world comes and attacks.
Which makes sense. It makes sense that they're all close by.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go and they hang out on a little ice island. This is where the episode should have lived. I feel like the idea of being stuck surrounded by the army of the dead. You know, all those conversations we had before, this is where that should have been. It should have been consistently building tension from here. Yeah. I don't mean to rewrite the episode. That's not real criticism, but I feel like what we do get with them waiting is unsatisfying.
It's a combination of, okay, they got to, I'm expecting a battle to happen here, and like I realize the ice is breaking. Very tiny, like it wasn't much of a river between them. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna call it. Like, the Night King's a smart dude from what I've seen. Why didn't he just make some of the whites like make a bridge with their body?
Yeah, or send one over at a time, one or two over. You don't need.
He's a dramatic dude.
You have to assume they're there for a couple days.
That's okay. I read a thing about this because people were like freaking out about it, rightfully so. The way they were like, yes, it's edited kind of poorly. They were supposed to be there for a few days with the endless like twilight that is north.
I'm fine with that. That makes sense.
Again, edited
and
poorly.
You know what? Yeah, I'm even fine with it. Just say never show night. But those people have to sleep. And even if they have like half of them on guard, why isn't that when you send over some whites? Like,
I don't know. Gendry, they send Gendry got away, and they send him to Eastwatch to send Ravens, and the Ravens are the real MVP with their turnaround time.
Yeah, with their jet turbines for wings.
Daenerys gets a letter, and she's like, "Oh, gotta go. Let me hop on my dragons." Hound. Okay, the pebble was dumb.
Yeah. Well, okay. I will go as far to say all of this from here on out is dumb. But I feel like the reason that Daenerys goes, mm-hmm. I don't feel like they have built that relationship up enough to be that strong. I get that she has a friendship with Jon and that she loves Jorah.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't feel like either of those relationships are enough for her to risk a dragon. And it's not that she's not thinking of that.
She's not thinking about risking a dragon. She's thinking about risking herself.
Yeah, but Tyrion emphasizes the danger. And even if that doesn't mean risking a dragon, like, that is a danger that I think is too great for her to logically go there, even though she is impulsive.
Yeah.
It's hard to say with Daenerys because, like we mentioned, she's inconsistent in which decision she'll make when.
Exactly.
But I feel like that is the writers being like, "Yo, we need to get a dragon down up north quick." And the pebble is dumb and stupid, and I would buy any other character thrown except for the Hound, who is in general pretty smart.
I'm fine with the Hound. I'm fine with him getting fed up and stuff. The pebble being the reason the whites realize, oh, it's safe to cross now.
Yeah. That was frustrating. And it's like, oh, a couple days has passed. Now they can attack.
A whole bunch of nameless people die.
Yeah, these are like I said, these are previously non-introduced expendables. So it just feels like people are popping up when they need someone to die, which makes me automatically assume no one important is going to die.
Well, I got scared for Tormund.
I didn't, because I'm like, oh, just these nameless people will die.
Well,
you know who I did get scared of? That person who fell off the edge, who I couldn't tell who it was. Because I'm like, is that someone? That could be someone. Because I thought they were out of Expendables.
Yeah, so did I.
Because they all look the same. The costuming and the way... The costuming and like their use of weapons and the way it's shot just makes it... so we can't tell who's who.
Yeah.
Except for, like, Jon.
Yeah. Daenerys gets there, starts lining everybody up, which, I mean, it's cool.
I don't feel like she could take on the whole army.
Oh, no, she's doing cover fire.
Yeah, which I appreciate. It's like, just because she has 2 dragons, or at this point 3 dragons.
This is a little...
doesn't mean that
this is a small point. We know Drogon.
Yeah.
We also have Viserion and Rhaegal. I don't remember Rhaegal being named. I always thought Dracarys was one.
No, Dracarys is the fire word.
Okay, that's fine. Anyways, everybody starts hopping on Drogon. Except this is where the lazy writing gets to me. Jon is just like, no, I'm going to start fighting some more, and I'm going to go away.
Yeah, like, I understand he wants to hold up the flank, but you don't have to do that from so far away.
Yeah, he just, like, he doesn't even start just, like, he starts with the dude that's near him, but then he keeps going. And then the Night King makes us realize that this man doesn't skip arm day and hurls that javelin. Viserion, I love that Viserion is the one that gets killed.
It's fitting.
It's very fitting.
No, between the Night King and Gendry, we have one heck of an Olympics team.
Oh, yeah.
Because
I'm just gonna
we got
assume,
javelin on point. Gendry has both all the boating sports and running down.
I'm just going to assume that these are magic javelins.
Yeah. They look magic, and all his weapons have been magic. So.
Yeah, then that's why it kills Viserion immediately.
Also, Viserion's a little weaker.
He's one of the smaller ones. Him and Rhaegar are the smaller ones. Because they were the ones chained up.
It also hits him. It hits him more in the neck, if I remember correctly. So it all makes sense.
I guess. I'm just going to assume he has magic arms, too, that he was able to fling it that hard and with such accuracy.
Oh, yeah. He is as much of a monster as those dragons.
And then Jon keeps going. Again, pretty lazy.
There's no logical reason why he wouldn't get on the dragon.
And then he gets dragged into the ice. Oh, no, Jon died.
This is the second time they did this to a character this season, Joe.
When was the first time?
Well, Jaime went underwater, and they're like, "Did you die?" But except with the thing with Jaime is, I buy he lives. The thing is, when you go under frozen water, you can't see the top. Also, it's like below freezing water, so like
Oh, you're gonna freeze, yeah.
I hated that, and I hate what comes next too. So
Daenerys and the other guys leave. And then Jon comes up immediately after they leave. It says here he tries to pretend to be a white. I don't think he was. I think he was just trying not to get noticed.
Yeah, no, that's reading a bit into it.
Yeah, and then suddenly Benjen appears.
Yeah, Cold Hands is a cool character, and I think they set him up well last season. And he has to be dead, right? Like, there's no way he could survive.
I don't know what he is. Yeah, he is undead. I don't know why he's not, like, bad.
No, okay, so what I assume is, like, the children of the children of the forest, they made him, but they didn't, like, when we see them make the Night King, they, like, stab him in the heart. I think the idea here is that they only turn part of him into a walker. My thing though is, like, I think he's a cool character. I think you can do some cool stuff with him. Automatically, like, how is he supposed to get out of that? He's fighting the whole army of the dead.
Oh no, it says here he's killed.
Yeah, he has to be killed. So you use him as, like, a cheat code. They're
Jon's like kind of almost frozen Benjen. Why don't you get on the horse too and ride back with him?
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, why? First off, why is Jon there? He doesn't need to be there. We've talked about this. Second off, why write him off so quickly? Like, what's the point in introducing Cold Hands in the end of last season, or the end of 2 seasons ago, or whenever he was there, just to give him a minute of screen time before you kill him off. It is
this is what
sloppy.
Last season suffered with bringing all the characters back for Ramsay to kill.
Yeah, but I'd say even worse. Like, because this guy, like, Rickon never had a practical purpose.
Also the wilding with Rickon.
Yeah, but this guy, Benjen, could be a very valuable asset in fighting the Walkers.
Oh, yes.
And he's not now. Unless they come up with some dumb contrived reason. Or maybe it's a great reason. Maybe they come up with a great reason why he survives. Mm-hmm. I don't think they could, though. Like, that's very hard to imagine they would.
Jon gets back to the crew with the horse. Again, record time.
Yeah, equestrian sports. We got that down too.
Yeah. Pledges his allegiance to Daenerys, and then it ends with the Whites getting Viserion corpse out of the ground and him becoming a white dragon, which
where'd those chains come from?
they made him out of that. That's what the bridge was going to be, but they made chains instead out of other whites. I'm fine with it. We all saw it coming.
Like it is such a small like nitpicky problem in an episode that has such huge problems.
I still like this episode though.
I think this episode's the worst episode of the series.
Of the series?
Yeah, and
that is saying a lot.
It is, but consistently the action is poorly shot. The characters that we get outside of Beyond the Wall are poorly written because we mainly get stuff with Sansa and Arya, and the stuff with the characters Beyond the Wall is contrived and sloppy.
Okay, I don't really feel like there's anything I'd argue with this to shift your point of view.
Yeah. What are the strong points for you?
Hearing everybody interact, like I said when they were walking, it's nothing really to talk about. I mean, it's nothing to talk about in like the sense that talk about it as two people around it, but I mean, it's these characters interacting, which is great. And then the stuff on the ice is suspenseful. If they hadn't started killing nameless characters, I would have been worried.
Yeah, and even then, you were worried for Tormund.
Yeah, I mean, that scene went on to where I thought Tormund was going to die.
Well, and it would make sense that he would die after he has some pretty, after we get a good amount of
happy moments,
screen time with him. Yeah.
Anyways, I thought it was fine. I liked the dragons, and I'm glad we're getting an ice dragon.
Yeah, and I think everybody wanted that. I don't like how we got it, but... I like the javelin. That makes sense. I don't like everything surrounding it, but we needed to get it, so fair enough.
Dragon and the Wolf, season finale.
Great episode. I was feeling pretty down on the season after Eastwatch and Beyond the Wall, but this episode, it's not perfect. There are problems with it, but I'd say overall, it is what the show is at its best points.
Daenerys' crew and Cersei's crew have a meetup to
yeah, which is 40 minutes of this episode, which I love.
It's 40 minutes and it didn't feel long to me. I didn't feel like we were there forever.
Yeah, I felt it's exactly the time we needed to be there.
Yeah, we get everybody interacting. Jaime and Tyrion and Bronn finally come back together, and it's great.
Yeah, I like everything. The one thing I had issue with is the teasing for Clegane Bowl wasn't that great. But every other thing I really like. I like that we get some stuff with the Hound and Brienne.
Also, the mountain is like, I feel like they've just been like getting like lazier with the makeup, because I swear I could at least see a face under there at first, and now it's just like, it looks like they just slathered paint.
It's also a different helmet that might have something to do with it.
Oh, it is.
How the shadows fall. So
okay, whatever. I like Dany's entrance.
Yeah, very. And I'll be honest, I was a little confused at the very beginning of this episode. I thought that Bronn and Jaime were at Highgarden and they were gonna fight the Unsullied.
Oh no, they weren't gonna fight. They were ready for. They knew it was happening. Like they had a Raven gun.
Yeah, and like there's nothing bad with that scene, but that did confuse me for half the episode. I thought they were gonna do a time jump to it, but
I thought when I did see them at Highgarden and I saw Dothraki, I was like, wait, is the battle between Daenerys and Cersei happening?
Well, and is it Highgarden, or was that just a wall?
It was just a wall. That looked a lot like Highgarden.
Yeah.
Because
all we have seen from Highgarden is a big wall.
Yeah, and also like all the troops at Highgarden got demolished. Wait, they don't have Highgarden anymore.
Well, I mean, it still stands.
It still stands, but Lannisters don't have it anymore.
Well, nobody really has it. Like, Bronn wants it, but other than that.
That's true. The White comes out. I thought they were going to do a really stupid thing when the Hound opened the box and nothing happened. I thought it was going to be the White doesn't work anymore. I'm like, oh God, we got to deal with this now.
I thought that somebody from Cersei's side had stolen it.
I didn't go that far. I thought the White had just stopped working. Like he
I
got
need
too
to
far
return
south
this.
of the wall.
I have a defective wipe.
Yeah, I got too far south of the wall, so that's what I thought was gonna happen. I was like, oh, that's pretty stupid, but it didn't. I
Well,
still don't know
yeah.
why it played dead for like 5 minutes.
Yeah. It's not a huge problem. It was a
No.
little confusing.
I was like, it goes straight for Cersei.
Slightly before this, going back to the most charismatic man on the show, you're on. I love how he just interrupts the meeting to talk
he's
to
like, I'm
Theon.
out. Oh, I just like how he
Yeah.
sees it and he's like, later.
Yeah, no, that is also great. Like,
Because we haven't seen him in a few episodes at this point, and then it's like back into, I'm like, man, I really love you this season.
yeah, but the whole conversation it's finally characters making sense together, and I like John. I like not only that he stands up for Dany, but that he also I like when he's going on about like if we keep saying
Oh,
words
yeah, that's
that we
great.
don't mean that words don't mean anything over time.
Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah, and then we get Tyrion going to talk to Cersei.
Yeah, which is good.
I like the scene between him and Jaime real quick. I feel like that was what I wanted from their previous scene that we didn't get. But yeah, no, and that scene with Cersei I think is pretty darn good. And Peter Dinklage hasn't had to flex his chops all season, and he does here.
Oh yeah,
and it's great.
he got his big speech for the season. Snow starts falling on the south.
Yeah, which is cool. After Jaime leaves,
It's chilling.
which I'm glad. Did you think that? Were you one of the people who thought that Jaime was going to kill Cersei this season?
No, I never thought he was going to kill Cersei. I thought Cersei was going to kill him.
Okay, I think most people thought one of those two, especially coming out of last season's finale.
Cersei goes out. I think Jaime's going to kill her eventually. It's going to be at the war between the two houses. It's going to be the battle for King's Landing, and he's going to have it. He's going to like turn around and kill her all of a sudden. That's how I think it should go.
Why I wanted to bring that up was I was convinced that is what they're doing, and the show surprised me on it. They didn't surprise me with it being a twist or anything like that. It's just they were smart enough that they were setting something up that I couldn't predict, which is something the show was not good with this season, and I don't think will be good with next season because they have to end things. So it's gonna be harder for them to make a surprising show. That's fine. But I like that we still get that, and I feel like what they ultimately did with Jaime was smarter. Mm-hmm. I like that he is going up north. I like that we're gonna get some tension with him, and like I don't think he likes what he's doing.
No, he doesn't.
I think he knows.
But he's finally realized Cersei's insane because Cersei sees the white and she's just like, nah, I'm not gonna help.
And Cersei now, I think she herself has a big conflict between. Am I gonna try to service myself, or am I gonna try to service my kid? What am I doing here? I think that makes sense. So.
Back to Winterfell. Littlefinger's found out.
Yeah, I've talked about this scene enough. But hey, it ends that dumb subplot, so thank God.
I was laughing hysterically when Peter's last words are, "I loved your lady mother."
It's great. No, yeah. I actually, when I was watching that episode, I texted you that, but then I realized, oh, wait, I didn't text you that. I texted my mom that, and she was very confused.
That's pretty good. I'm pretty sure I texted you. I was trying to, because I had asked you if you had, I was trying to see if you have, trying not to give it away. I'm like, the memes come to fulfillment or something like that.
It's great. As dissatisfied as I am with that subplot, I will always cherish his ridiculous repetitiveness of his motivation.
Yeah, I'm finding it a little hard to believe that all the Northerners are just fine with Bran having a vision about that.
I'm also a little confused on, are they cool with just Arya killing him, or don't they want to be more ceremonial about this or like whatever? But yeah, I don't think it's that well put together. But fair enough.
Sam makes it to Winterfell, and he talks to Bran, and Bran, he says, "Yo, Jon's name is Aegon Targaryen."
Yeah, which I guess it needed to be said in the show at some point.
I don't know why he told
like,
Sam of all people. I mean, I get it, but like, it just seemed kind of random that these two characters are the ones interacting.
Yeah, it goes back to the idea of this is something that needs to happen. It's not something that's going to naturally happen. We've told the audience, now we need to tell the characters. And I'm like, okay. Also, this is directly cut with Jon and Dany boning, which I've never... It's not even the incest that bothers me. That's not what bothers me about this. I just wish we had two characters, a male and a female, who can get along together without having sex.
I never sensed anything romantic between them until, like, even when Tyrion's like, "You like him," and I'm like, "No, she doesn't. She thinks he's a good ally."
And like, yeah, we have Tyrion and Dany, I guess. Like, so we have some relationships that's non-sexualized, but very few in this show. Which is, you know, this show, marriage and who you're with is a big part of it, which I'm fine with. That makes sense in the political landscape of this world. But man, if we could have just gotten two characters who respected each other and who were working together and did not have to have sex, I would have loved that. But we didn't.
You're in the same boat as Tyrion. Tyrion's mad.
Yeah, as he should be.
Yeah.
It's a dumb move in so many different ways. But whatever. I wanted to say something else. There's a great scene between Arya and Sansa that I really like.
Yeah.
Where they're on the battlements and they're talking, and I'm like, finally, these two characters are talking as they should be. They're finally in character. So.
To the wall, where we end the season, the entire army of the undead makes it to the wall, and then Ice Dragon pops up and just demolishes the wall in seconds.
Yeah, it's a little anticlimactic, but at the same time, it's cool.
Well, it's like we're showing the power of these dragons. Like, you thought the alive dragons were rough. Imagine this undead one that isn't affected by fire.
Mm-hmm. I also... Well, I'm interested. I think he is breathing fire.
He is breathing fire.
Yeah.
It's just blue.
I don't buy that Torm or the Hound or Eye Patch Man
they're dead.
Get away from that. But are they?
Oh no! I meant they're not dead. I meant to say they're not dead.
Yeah, they should be dead.
What's his name? Brotherhood guy's been talking about how he's not going to die because the Lord of Light has brought him back enough times for something to happen with him.
Yeah, and that's something that's probably he's going to die.
Well, I mean, yeah, not to that.
The Night King riding the dragon it just looks silly.
Oh, it's some of the poor, like, this show has some amazing CG. That was awful.
That scene was not one
that
of
was
it,
PS2
Even
era.
The ice, yeah. Which I get, that is expensive stuff, and we need to remember the show does not have an unlimited budget.
Yeah, this is still a TV show.
Yeah, it costs $10 million an episode to make.
Yeah.
But they're shooting in like 4 different locations. They have a huge cast, and these effects are not cheap. So yeah, like it looks silly. I hope they don't linger on it in the future episodes, but ultimately, the CGI fluffs didn't bother me.
Yeah.
But I'd say this episode is the third of the good 3 episodes in the season. Every other episode, I feel like, is either full of filler or it's poorly written. That's not to say there isn't good stuff in those episodes. Once again, I think this is a season of a great first episode and a great last episode. But I think the bulk of these episodes is very poorly handled. That doesn't mean I'm done with the show or anything, but it is something. And I'm not going to be a person who's like, it's because they're off book, because they were off book last season, and last season was fine. I think the first half wasn't nearly as good as the second half, but you know.
I feel like you need to go, which I'm probably going to do too. I need to go and rewatch this show from the beginning to see just how long some things dragged. There is a reason people have been saying the show, like, people are, like, weirded out by the pacing now because first 5 seasons drag a lot.
Yeah, I've always been interested in going back and rewatching, but just comparing it to what I rewatched from last season, the first 2 episodes of the first season, which I did rewatch, and then the episode called The Climb, which is the only episode I'll ever go back to and just revisit without watching the whole season, because I think it works completely as a standalone. These episodes just don't compare. Like they're not as engaging. They're not as well written. The storylines as a whole, even if the specific scenes aren't interesting, the storylines aren't interesting. And I don't think they've ever misunderstood their characters as much as they have this season.
Okay. I don't really think I can say anything that'll change your mind without you, like, seeing examples for yourself.
Well, no, and like I didn't want you to change your mind, and I don't want you to change your mind. I was just curious to hear your perspective on it. So why did you think it was good?
I've been very vocal about TV shows not like keeping episode lengths for seasons just because that's tradition. I don't like it that all Netflix shows are 13 episodes besides like the recently released Defenders. I was happy that was 8 episodes for more reasons than one. I haven't liked when I heard that these last 2 seasons was only going to be 15 episodes total. I was very happy because it means stuff's just going to happen. We're not going to have like middle episodes where nothing happens, or at least not as many.
Yeah, I would agree. The episode length or the number of episodes is good. And hopefully shows will learn from this. Obviously, network shows don't have the freedom that HBO has, but Netflix, you do. So don't make Punisher 13 episodes.
Dear God. I don't know. It's just, it keeps... I never, like you've said, this is one of the first times I found myself always looking forward to the next episode. And I always did with this season. Some seasons, not so much. Like, there's a reason season 2 and 3 took me almost 2 months in total to, like, get through without waiting for episodes to come out.
Okay, that makes sense. And there are certainly a lot of people who really did enjoy this season. I understand why.
And from what we've been going on for the past hour and a half or so, you really didn't dislike this season as much as you just disliked episode 7 a lot. Or episode 6, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's weird. Episode 6 is a big problem with this season, but I also think I harped on it a little because I think it illustrates the problems I have with the season overall. The question I always have when critiquing Game of Thrones is, do single episodes matter? Because on one hand, these are not episodic stories in any way, and even for serialized, they're very interconnected week to week. And not much action happens in an episode. It's stuff that builds on each other in a very slow, meandering, but still usually well-paced manner. So the question I always am kind of struggling with is how much should I value how much a specific episode impresses me or entertains me or engages me.
You still should.
But also,
you still
this
should
is a week to week.
It is a TV show, and
and it's week to week.
It's week to week. It has to be billed like if episodes aren't like contained in themselves, then why didn't you make this a movie?
Exactly. So I don't think it's irredeemable, and like I said, I do think there are good stuff in it. But I think compared to what they have been doing previously, I think this shows a lot of the weak points of how they're doing this, how they do this Game of Thrones formula. And I think it's interesting to compare it to other seasons and seeing how they do it. And also, it might be one of those things where if I binge through it, I won't be as bothered. But also, binging a show is not real. I don't have the time for that, so who knows? The last thing I wanted to bring up was Euron should be Iron Fist. not the actor who plays Urine. The character Urine should be Iron Fist, because Iron Fist is the most boring character on television, and Urine's the most charismatic. So I would tune in every week to just hear him say, "I'm the immortal Iron Fist, protector of Cool Moon." That's pretty good. You have any final things, Jill?
No, I'm excited for next season. I really hope it's not an actual 2-year wait.
Like I said, I'm fine with it being as long as they need to make it good, especially since this is something that it will be probably a more battle-heavy season.
There's definitely going to be at least 2 battles.
Do that. Yeah, it's exciting. Also, glad that they're ending it, like that they have a chosen end date.
Oh yeah, I was happy when they went off book, so I was like, oh, we get an ending then.
So ultimately, I've watched 4 shows this year. I have watched this, The Defenders, Rick and Morty, and Series of Unfortunate Events, and it's better than The Defenders. So it's in my top 3 shows of the year.
Nice. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Cool.